go.
Hi, everyone, uh, and welcome to our weekly DVMUG meeting. Today, according to my notes, is Tuesday, August 26, 2025. And as always, I have a few news items followed by a few videos. And after that, we'll have question and answers where you can answer, a question, anything you want regarding our equipment, your equipment. And we'll do our best to get that all answered up for you. And as you know, I'm Bruce and I'm presenting. It's my turn to present this time of the month, as it is every month. Anyway, the links, according to John, have been put on to the chat. You can get them off the chat. They're also on the BBS that I put out there. You can uh, get it from either location and be able to get to the news or the videos later on at your own leisure. This meeting it is being recorded and it will be later put onto YouTube. So um, just to go on, we have our own update page in or a slide, and this time make sure all your equipment is up to date because we've had a couple of 3 days ago we had uh, Apple had an update, and it has to do with a malicious photo bug. John, would you be able to elaborate, please?
I didn't pay attention to what it was about.
Um, what I when I read it, I got the gist of it is that a photo you can get from someplace can be set up that is on a it becomes malicious. In other words, it can go and mess with your with the memory, um, with the image IO mainframe, framework, and also allows malicious image manipulation, and it could really mess up your computer. So whatever you do, as always, we keep saying, don't click on anything you're not familiar with. Um, Only do stuff from Apple Store. Um, don't ask or don't believe anybody that they tell you they want you to click on anything like that. Just be careful and be safe. So and just to add on to it, lately, in just a couple of days ago or something, yesterday or something, I remember last month I also talked about some atomic um data breach s- uh, stealer. It's called atomic data stealer. At that point, it was like, okay, they built the back door. If you ever get it on your computer, the back door is going to be built in. Well, they found it, this security company found it using Apple help um, pages. And again, eh, don't load anything on your computer that you're not sure of. There is stuff out there some time ago we we weren't all that worried, and we shouldn't be now anyway, but we should be because there is no distinction between the PC people and the Mac people nowadays. They're just hitting everybody. So just be careful. Okay, let's move on to the news. And the first thing is UK announces plans to further regulate Apple and Google. The UK is going bananas over everything digital. The government has been considering categorizing Apple and Google as having strategic market status and then applying new regulations to that. According to statements from the government-owned Competition and Markets Authority in England. Um, Again, the URL is there. You can. It's a long story. I ask you to really read it. It's they're putting constraints on everything, especially stuff from here. The next one is the internet verification begins the rollout, and Apple is dragged into it all over again. And again, UK started this. UK has become the first major country to introduce the legal requirement for age verification. It affects all websites worldwide. Additionally, the US recently received a bill very similar to the British legislation. So it seems to be spreading. To start with, tell you the truth, I don't know how they can verify anybody's age, but we're um, being bullied. And this is not, doesn't seem to be stopping. It's just getting wider. Anybody have anything to say about that? I mean, I know that there are kids out there who have accounts and access to all kinds of stuff, but how they're going to accomplish that is a little beyond me.
It it threatens VPN success.
Can you elaborate, Bill?
Well, if you're using a VPN, this makes this requirement difficult for uh, any proof because people
Okay.
are using VPNs to get around things, and in order to comply with this law, there's discussion that they may require people to turn their VPNs off for the age verification, and that's a
Hmm.
security risk.
Okay. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Okay. But I still don't know how they can, I guess, figure out how old you are. You know what I mean? But, but I'm sure technology's up to it, or they're trying to develop some stuff that will. Okay, the next one is Apple's, according to Apple Insider, Apple's $100 billion investment has almost nothing to do with the US iPhone manufacturing. Apple's latest announcement of using $100 investment into the US manufacturing is a positive thing, but it still has an incredibly little to do with reshoring iPhone assembly in this country. But anyway, it's a start. I wonder though if they ever do uh, come over how much the iPhone is going to cost at that point. But apparently there is an ongoing effort to bring it all here.
Reshoring implies that it was ever shored in the first place, and it wasn't, was it?
I
No,
guess
that's never going to happen. It can't happen.
uh,
We don't know how to do it here. We don't have the people trained to do it. We're not, the
what
investment is so high in China to do this. They're tied together. I mean, they're doing it because of low labor, because they already have the technology there, and they know how to do it. We don't know how to do it here. We don't have the people know how to do it here, and it can't happen.
We don't have
Actually, it's no longer China. All
yeah,
iPhone 17s are being built in India.
that's probably even cheaper. But but
Except for the
but
50% tariffs.
yeah, yeah. But the thing is, if they even bring it here, is what's going to happen to the price? I mean, I mean, people here don't work for the same money that people in India do. So,
Cost of labor is too prohibitive here. They're not going to
yes.
do it here.
The other is the supply chain and the logistics. It's been very much configured over in Asia, and to do that same thing here will be costly, and it'll take a long time.
Hmm. Well, at least they're working at it. So the next thing is, this is serious. Uh, I paid $1,700 for my MacBook, and this is going to happen if I do something wrong. Don't put camera guards, screen protectors, or keyboard covers on a MacBook Pro. Now, notice they said MacBook Pro. Mine is Air, so I know if it's exempt or not. If you put anything in between your MacBook screen and keyboard, the screen protector, a hard crumb, or a camera guard, or anything else, I suppose, it's just a matter of time until you open it up and discover a shattered display.
Not only
Here's
that, it can
why.
wreck the hinges. I
Here's
thought
why.
everybody knew that one. That's from years ago.
So what they're saying is it's it's not only applied to Apple devices. I mean the laptops. It's applied to every laptop out there. The new ones with the real
Mhm.
thin devices nowadays. This did include MacBook, where obviously it happened, but they also found it happening across the board. So, but this was something else. I couldn't believe it. I just like, oh, you got to be kidding me.
I don't
You know,
understand what's the issue. If they do it, what happens?
the screen breaks. You open the screen and it's broken.
There's no space when you shut the lid. There's no space between the screen and the closed thing, and it's like putting a rock in there and it presses on the screen and it'll break the screen.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Anything in there.
Yeah.
Hmm. I put I put I put stuff I print out there. I mean, my notes go there. Oh no. Oh,
And you don't need a screen protector because it's not a touch screen.
and just to add to that, if you go to Apple, and if you go to Apple and say, "Look, my screen broke," they will find out that that's exactly what you did, and they won't replace your screen. So, oh,
I'm sure
but
they can tell a pattern of someone who's done that involving the camera. They can see exactly where the screen's damaged and say,
oh man. Okay.
So should
Let's
I
see what.
stop using my MacBook Air for a Crostini press?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that could do it.
I guess I'll have to pull the George Foreman out again.
Yeah.
Got a, I got a quick question. Forgive me, because
Go.
what's a camera guard?
One of those
Oh,
little things with a slider on it.
People are
yeah,
afraid that the people are somebody's turning on the camera
right.
and watching them. So they sell little sliders to put over the camera, like a little window shade to slide it back and forth to turn it off. Sometimes people put a piece of tape on it or whatever.
Yeah, use Gorilla Tape. Mm,
Yeah, get that off of there.
no, that'll shut the camera off.
just
Anyway,
post it.
I'm sorry, Bill.
I said, just use a post-it.
There you go. So the next one is, and thank you very much, John, because I wasn't aware of that. It was like the Apple Plus monthly price increases to $12.99. Now, I had a previous version of this where it says that it's in England It's still £9 and 99 pence. So I don't know if that's $12.99 in US money, but
It's
that was
12,
suggest.
it's $12.99, but the annual fee hasn't gone up.
Yeah,
The
yearly
annual
is
So
fee's still
yes,
still,
$99.99.
If you
right.
lock it in, pay the annual fee.
Right.
So yeah, the annual fee starts at 99 cents, and this URL, if you read it again, it's going to explain it in detail and how to avoid it, I believe.
They're trying to stop people from jumping on and off of Apple TV Plus.
Oh, okay.
supposedly they were talking on Mac Break this morning. Apple TV Plus has the highest churn of people doing that. Log on for
Hmm.
free for a month, binge watch what you want, and then quit. Or watch it for 1 month and pay or whatever.
Okay, that makes sense.
For those of us that aren't into sports, because it's all about the sports. They're paying out billions to have all these, sports now. My opinion, they should spin that off onto a separate service.
Well,
Well, the
that's going to
rumor,
happen. I think they lost the baseball thing,
yeah,
and with that new ESPN thing gone in, I just wish that all these guys would get rid of their sports and put them all in one place so that we wouldn't have to pay for them.
it's all bidding war.
I think you just hit the nail on the head why they do that.
The football is all over the place. The contract comes up and they have a bidding war. Thursday night football's on Prime, some's on Sunday night, some is like all over the place. Half the season's one place, or you can buy the whole deal for every game everywhere, no matter where you live.
And one Thursday game's on Prime Video and another one's over here. Yeah.
Well, you always get your local team and your local TV market would always be on network TV at no cost because they sell a lot of commercials. They get a lot of views for that.
Not around here. The Lakers are only on pay TV through the Charter.
Well, here the Warriors are on what is it? NBC Bay Area Sports,
Yeah.
and that was on most cable systems, but they dropped it from DirecTV Stream. You got to pay $20 extra, or you can sign up for it in their app. I think it's still on YouTube TV though. But
We had
all the
trouble
games
getting,
are on there, including and the Giants games are all on there, including the pregame and the postgame for baseball and football. I mean, Warrior and the pregame and the postgame for football, but the 49ers are always on a local channel.
the NFL are on the local channels. UCLA and SC were on Pac-12 network. I happened to get it with Frontier, but a lot of the cable companies didn't carry Pac-12.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of basketball and baseball games. Football, there's only what 16 games. So
Now we get Big Ten network, and there's some on one or two on Peacock, but most of the Big Ten or Big Ten Plus comes on. And that's
Well,
on
I was a loyal Apple TV Plus subscriber for a long time because I really liked their series, the original series. But the $9.99 price kind of drove me away because there's just not enough original series that interest me to for that. So it made me jump on and off, which is what I've been doing. Like if there's a series, I'll wait for the series to be over so I can binge it and jump on for a month or two and jump off.
well, the thing about Apple TV Plus is they don't have a catalog of other people's content. It's all original. So, everywhere else you get these old shows and, there's all kinds of old content and movies that they, on the other channels. They don't do that.
What's next?
Well,
What's next?
well, just to add insult to injury, on about the same date that they announced increase. Meta has poached another researcher, AI researcher from Apple for a humongous amount of money, and Paramount poached a Apple TV exec. So there is no that produced content for Apple TV.
Opportunity for new talent at Apple.
And as long as this is kind of news. This is from our BBS. John Hayes from Virtual Harbor raised a question saying, don't know how this affects Americans visiting UK. Can they retrieve existing ADP data when they're there or add to it? ADP is Advanced Data Protection. As of, I think, 3 days ago, Apple has they've gone back and forth on that backdoor that UK is insisting on, and Apple has removed advanced data protection from anybody in Britain. So what happens when an American person goes over there?
I thought UK backed off of that.
They did. They compromised. They don't want the back door anymore, but Apple took off the advanced data protection feature. So
I'm guessing that since you've already got it and you go over there, it'll still work.
Oh, okay.
It's just that if you're using now, maybe because of the IMAPs, they may block it, but we really can't know until somebody goes over there and tries it.
Well, I'm going to ask a question myself is, okay, so everybody over there has ADP.
No, they took it off.
Well, you mean they can take it off your computer? I mean, disable it on your computer?
They
disabled
disabled that
its function.
feature in the UK. They completely turned that off for everybody. That if you
Oh,
had it, it's no longer available.
They disabled
oh,
it at a service level.
There's no grandfathering. It's law.
oh, yeah. Icky. Anyway, that's the news for today. I mean, I'm giving. There's so much more I went through. I just decided this is enough for today. So
I got a news
next,
item hold on before we move. That's the last news item.
that is my last news item.
Okay, this morning Apple announced that the iPhone 17 event will indeed, as rumored, be on September 9th at 10 a.m. keynote. They sent out the invitations. So that's 2 weeks from today. And that's my day to do the keynote. So hopefully I'll do the keynote at 10 o'clock and I'll acquire all the information and have it in the keynote. Will all be about that.
So it's called the odd dropping event. So does that mean that Apple is dropping the awe? So from now on, it'll just be
What were you dropping? I didn't understand. Dropping an R?
or AWE. It's
Right.
called or dropping.
Oh,
2 words.
Like it's awesome.
awesome, dude. Anyway,
So one final news item, ChatGPT has us pretty much nailed, doesn't it? The instruction was create a wide format image of a DVMUG meeting. I didn't tell it what DVMUG stood
is
for.
that what it was?
With a DVMUG banner, and that's what it created.
You know, the two twins in the front row they doubled the guys, and one has glasses and one doesn't.
Well, how do you know they're not twins? I think you
Well,
got it
I
right
know
the
they
first.
could be. I guess they could be twins.
I
They
mean,
just duplicated the guy and slapped glasses on one of them.
they definitely got our demographic.
Twins?
A lot of people, though. Huh.
Our demographic is twins?
We need some new twins. Yeah.
I got a twin, but you don't want her.
The
Oh, I don't want her.
Who is heading the meeting and behind you there, Kenji?
I don't know. That's a good question. Kind of looks like Lee, actually, a little bit.
Don't think so.
Could be Jerry, a bit.
Talking about chatbot GPT and this ability of generating images has gone wild. We're still on this news thing. There is a movement of trying to curtail certain images being nude images being generated, and so there is a thing going on where people are not taking pictures of the kids anymore, and this polling company, I believe, or something like that, they went and found there was like 388 different nudie generating AI pieces of software out in the open. Anybody can get their hands on it. Not that I have anything about against nudes, but just to throw that one in. Okay, if no more comments, I have a few videos.
Dan's hand is up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jen.
I just don't understand and would like to know about why is Apple so behind in AI compared to other companies, other phones and whatnot?
Can you elaborate, John?
No.
Well, so it's a culture. I believe that it's a culture. They did get jumped on, but Apple never developed, post Steve Jobs, anything until they found out how to make more money with the stuff on the same stuff that other people are selling. In other words, they will pick something up, make it better looking, better or faster or more appealing to people, making more money. That's my answer. I could be totally wrong, but and I agree with you. Why are they not being a company of three? What is it? 12 zeros or 15 zeros behind? No, something like $3 trillion company can't afford people to develop something or
Well,
keep up with somebody.
there's only so many people who know how to do this stuff. And they focused a lot of their attention and resources on the Apple Car, which they canceled, and on the Apple Vision Pro. It's been in development for years. They've been working on that.
Yep. But in the old days, Jobs made it clear if you try to poach an Apple employee, he'd just come in and hire all your top guys. He'd steal them all.
He'd go over there and scream and yell at them too.
He also told somebody who tried it one time, he says, you don't want to get in a bidding war for people. I'll pick you clean. So, yeah.
Except that's not what's happening now.
Yeah.
Zuckerberg has started an enormous bidding war. He's paying $250 million for top AI talent now. $250 million. A lot of it front loaded on the front end of a 4-year contract, paid in the first year. $250 million.
So
and
true.
and it's just started this bidding war, and Apple has had people poached away.
Well, there's a reason to be young again.
There's so much online about this. One place that's really interesting is the Hard Fork podcast from the New York Times is basically all about this stuff. The Daily podcast, just a couple of days ago, was about the bidding war for AI talent. And partly what it is that both Apple and Meta were kind of caught flat-footed, kind of not. They're looking at AI was just to enhance their existing systems, like to make Siri better. Well, why isn't Siri better? That's a good question.
Yeah.
But neither one of them saw it as a whole new thing. They just saw it as kind of to tinker on the edges to make what already exists better. And then Zuckerberg in the last year has just totally panicked and realized that he's missed the boat, and he's just trying to strew money at it to try to catch up. And now everybody else is strewing money back. And it's kind of crazy.
Look where Tim Cook's area of expertise is in supply chain, not in technical.
No.
Well, Apple also is a hardware company. They sell hardware. Google doesn't particularly sell hardware that much. Meta doesn't sell hardware.
No.
And everybody's selling hardware, but this requires massive infrastructure. Not only massive data centers, but also massive power generation facilities in order to power these data centers. It's kind of...
Well,
and then I don't trust it.
Guys, we'll never get this meeting done if we ramble around. The original question is, how come Apple is so far behind in AI?
That's our Q&A. That's for Q&A.
Yeah.
Well, we got a meeting. I thought the whole thing was Q&A. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to, I've got some real interesting videos. One of them there's one from Ellen, one from a short one, and somebody here, and I don't forget, I do forget. I'm sorry, I take that back. I forget who was having problems changing a battery in AirTag, and I have a 1 minute video for that, and then coupled by Gary. And we don't have to see them all, but anyway. So here we go. This one there is a write-up out there that we spend too much time on our phones. And here's Gary to say how to stay away from your phone.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let me show you how to make your iPhone harder to use. So I know some of you are asking, why would you want to make your iPhone harder to use? Well, if you find yourself using your iPhone too much, like browsing through social media apps or spending time staring at your screen while surrounded by people you know that you should be talking to, then you may want to make it harder for you to fall back to looking at your iPhone and doing things with it. So it's a trend now to find creative ways to still keep the functionality of your iPhone there, but kind of encourage yourself to use it less. I think one of the easiest ways to do this without really changing much on your iPhone is to simply make a harder passcode or set a password for your iPhone and take away Face ID or Touch ID entirely. So if you go into the Settings app and you scroll down to Face ID and passcode, this is where you would change your passcode, but also where you can turn off Face ID. So if you've got it set up, you can simply reset Face ID and just not use it. The same thing for Touch ID. Now you have to enter a passcode, but passcodes are often short and easy to enter. So you can change that by simply going down to Change Passcode. And when you go to enter a new passcode, instead of just using another 6 digits, go to Passcode Options. And here you can set a custom numeric code, so make it much longer than 6 digits, or do a custom alphanumeric code. This means that instead of a numeric keypad coming up, you get the full keyboard, and you can use letters as well as numbers. So you can set a real password for your iPhone. This definitely adds a bit of a barrier to unlocking your phone.
You can remove and replace the battery in your AirTag.
Hold on. This is what happened when I thought was going to happen. And it just did. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get back into it. I lost the audio and I mean I lost video, and it's back.
We see your screen. There you go. All right.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let me show you how. Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let me show you how to make your iPhone.
Yeah, unless you can scroll through it, Bruce, maybe you can slide it partially down the film.
From the beginning, don't touch.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let me show you how to make your iPhone harder to use. So I know some of you are asking, why would you want to make your iPhone harder to use? Well, if you find yourself using your iPhone too much.
Hi,
this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let me show you how to make your iPhone harder to use. So I know some of you are asking, why would you want to make your iPhone harder to use? Well, if you find yourself using your iPhone too much, like browsing through social media apps or spending time staring at your screen while surrounded by people you know that you should be talking to, then you may want to make it harder for you to fall back to looking at your iPhone and doing things with it. So it's a trend now to find creative ways to still keep the functionality of your iPhone there, but kind of encourage yourself to use it less. I think one of the easiest ways to do this without really changing much on your iPhone is to simply make a harder passcode or set a password for your iPhone and take away Face ID or Touch ID entirely. So if you go into the Settings app and you scroll down to Face ID and passcode, this is where you would change your passcode, but also where you can turn off Face ID. So if you've got it set up, you can simply reset Face ID and just not use it. The same thing for Touch ID. Now you have to enter a passcode, but passcodes are often short and easy to enter. So you can change that by simply going down to Change Passcode. And when you go to enter a new passcode, instead of just using another 6 digits, go to Passcode Options. And here you can set a custom numeric code, so make it much longer than 6 digits, or do a custom alphanumeric code. This means that instead of a numeric keypad coming up, you get the full keyboard, and you can use letters as well as numbers. So you can set a real password for your iPhone. This definitely adds a bit of a barrier to unlocking your phone. And as a side effect, your iPhone is actually a lot more secure as well. But you'll certainly think twice before checking your socials if you know you've got to enter in a long password just to unlock your phone. Now you can also lock some apps. So for instance, if you've got an app that you find you're using too much, like this one, tap and hold it. And one of the things you can do is use Require Face ID, or if you have Face ID turned off, this would require your passcode. So even when your iPhone is unlocked, you're going to have to enter that long password in again just to open this app. It doesn't make it impossible to get into the app. It just makes it a little bit harder. So maybe it'll discourage you from using it anytime you want. If you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 2,000 others that support MacMost at Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. Now, a more extreme measure that a lot of people use is simply to delete apps. For instance, you can delete a social media app or a game just to make it pretty much impossible for you to use. But note that when you go to delete an app, like I'll go to delete this one, I'm given the option as to whether to remove it from the home screen or delete the app. Removing from the home screen means I have to access it from the app library, so it'll be less tempting to use it. Now remember, when you delete an app, it is still a purchased app in the App Store. So even if you paid for it or you have a subscription to it, you can delete it and simply download it again later for free. You don't have to pay for it twice. And if you have a subscription, the subscription is still good. So you can say remove an app right now and then simply add it back in later. It's going to take a lot longer for you to re-download and reinstall the app, so you'll be less likely to just use it in the moment. You also have another option. When you go into Settings and then go to iPhone Storage, you'll see your apps here. If you go into an app, notice you can offload an app. What this does is it clears the app away, so it saves space on your iPhone, but it still shows up on the home screen. If you tap it, it downloads the app again, keeping all the local data. So without changing your home screen really, you're simply causing a delay in being able to access the app again, in addition to using some bandwidth. So you're probably not going to want to reload the app while you're on the go. Now, another thing you can do is simply remove all of the apps from your home screens. When you do, you can still access them by going to the end here to your app library. This has all of your apps. If you're editing like this, you can tap edit here and you can edit pages, and then you can turn off pages like this. I'll turn off these two pages that have all the apps. I'll leave this one that just has a widget. And now this is my only home screen here. There's no access to apps. All the apps are here in the app library and just a little bit harder to get to. And you can leave the ones you're not so worried about down here in the dock or add a few to this screen. Now, of course, a big tool Apple gives you for dealing with app addiction is screen time. Go into settings and then go down to screen time. And here you can set up limits on the use of your apps. So you can set up app limits here. You could add a limit and you could do it to whole categories of apps or specific apps. And you could set how much you can use them the entire day. This could be a really powerful tool. If you say set a 1 hour limit, not only does that mean that you can only use that app or that set of apps for an hour in a day, but even before you reach that limit, you're probably going to be thinking very carefully about the time you spend in those apps. And you could also use downtime here to schedule time when only certain apps will be available to you. So you can say limit the time you use social media apps to the evening or a particular time in the morning during coffee, that kind of thing. Now, also here in settings, a useful tool is notifications. A lot of the time you're looking at your phone because you've got a notification. You can go into notifications here, and starting with some of the items here at the top, like Siri suggestions, and then for each individual app, you can go in and turn off notifications for that app. If you want to go really extreme, turn off notifications for every single app. So basically, your iPhone isn't trying to get your attention at all. If you want to check your mail or messages or social media, you've got to go and do it yourself. You're not going to get an indicator telling you there's something to look at. But you could also do this using focus here and set a focus mode and schedule it and turn off notifications for all or just some apps during that time. So you could allow all the notifications to come in the evening, but during the day, only let mail and messages come through. Now, here's a really interesting technique that I know some people use. If you go into settings and then accessibility, under display, in display and text size, you can go down and there are color filters. You can turn on color filters and set the filter to grayscale. The result is that you don't see any color on your iPhone. Everything, all your apps, everything you look at is going to be grayscale. So it doesn't take away any functionality, but some people find that they're less addicted to their various apps when they don't see vivid colors on their iPhone anymore. And you can always easily go in and turn off color filters. And you can even set some of the accessibility shortcuts to allow you to do it easier than going into settings. So you can turn it off when, say, you need to look at and edit photos or something. But you can have grayscale on the rest of the time, discouraging yourself from looking at all the pretty things on your phone. And here's one last one, another accessibility option. If you go all the way to the bottom of the accessibility section, you'll see assistive access. And here you can set up which apps will appear in assistive access. So just have your bare minimum apps. And then you can turn this on. It takes a separate code here. So it's not your regular passcode. You set this up and then it enables assistive access, which then looks like this. So you end up with all these big chunky buttons and only for the apps that you specified. So it's definitely less appealing to use your iPhone and impossible really to get to the apps that aren't shown. And individual apps themselves also change how they work, and they'll definitely be much less attractive for most users to use. To exit this mode, you just triple click the side button and there's a menu and you can exit using that special passcode. So it creates a barrier, but doesn't make it impossible for you to get back to regular use. So those are some suggestions for ways that you can encourage yourself to use your iPhone less. Thanks for watching.
So, any questions or comments? We don't have to worry about stuff like that. I don't. But just in case, you've got some guidance to go by.
No, we're retired. We don't need to worry about that. I was
Right,
wondering.
we don't worry about time.
It's like just go to focus. I don't. Seems like a lot of work just not to do the focused one. I will say this assistive access I'd never seen before. I'll have to go through that one of these days. But yeah, the rest of it seemed like, well, just put it on do not disturb.
Uh,
I mean, not like we're all sitting around board meetings, right?
right.
Unless you call this one.
Well, if you're trying to make it harder for yourself to use your own phone, perhaps it'd be better to just leave it on the bureau at home.
I was going to say, yeah, you can either A, grow up, or B, leave it in your car, leave it in your pocket, silence notifications. Like I said, focus and just be, I don't know.
So what happened to Lee?
Hello, Lee.
So Lee has gone through a change here.
Anyway, if there are any more questions, the next one I have, next video is from Apple. And I don't know who, but somebody had an issue or problem changing a battery in AirTag. So here's
Jan's hand is
It was
up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, well, here.
I tried to change the battery in my AirTag and I ruined it because I pry it. I should have just looked online to find the instructions, but I just try to just pry it open and I trashed it.
The brute force method.
Yeah, the brute force is not the way to open an AirTag.
Let's watch the video first.
So here's the video without brute force.
You can remove and replace the battery in your AirTag in a few steps. Here's how. Hold your AirTag with the polished stainless steel battery cover facing towards you. Press down on the battery cover and rotate it counterclockwise until it stops. Release your fingers, and the battery cover will pop up. Remove the battery, then insert a new one with the positive side facing towards you. Keep these items away from small children. Batteries with a bitter coating may not be compatible with AirTag. To reattach the battery cover, line up the 3 tabs on the cover with the 3 slots on your AirTag and press down. Your AirTag will play a sound to indicate the battery is connected. Then, rotate the battery cover clockwise until it stops. Open, remove, replace.
So there it is. I just wanna tell you that this is a video that shows Apple people doing it or actually how it's done, because it doesn't look like it's a video. It's an animation of some sort. There is before that I had a video of actually a person. The audio was real murky, real bad. Anyway, I should have left him. He actually had a problem, Jan. He had the same problem you did. He himself was barely able to turn that thing, but he managed it. Anyway, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
So the next one is
You have to
Ellen.
press down. That's the secret.
Yes, according to what I saw there, you had to press down. Well, she also said that you got to press down and twist. So, and unlike brute force thing using a screwdriver or something like that.
Hard with arthritic hands.
Yes, and if they hadn't made it so nice and smooth, it might be easier to turn too.
Maybe wearing a latex glove or a
Yeah.
Playtex living glove, something that's got some grip to it.
It helps, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the next one is about how to in iOS 18, use priority notifications. And here's Ellen to show us how.
Hi everyone, Ellen from Ellen's Tips for iOS, and today I'm sharing a powerful new iPhone feature that helps you stay focused on what matters most. It's called Priority Notifications, and it's part of iOS 18.4. I'll show you what it does, how to turn it on, and if your phone doesn't support it, there are some great alternatives available that you can use right now. Let's get started. Priority notifications are a new Apple Intelligence feature that puts your most important alerts right at the top of your lock screen so you don't miss what matters. Let's say you're expecting a message from your doctor or a reminder to take your medication. This feature keeps that alert front and center, even if you're getting swamped with less important ones like games or social media. How it works is your iPhone learns which apps and alerts you interact with most and quietly moves those to the top automatically. No need to set anything up once it's turned on. This feature only is available on iPhones with Apple Intelligence, including the iPhone 15 Pro, 15 Pro Max, all iPhone 16 models, including the new iPhone 16e. If you're using an older model, don't worry, I'll show you some easy alternatives in just a minute. To turn this feature on, you'll need to open the Settings app, locate and tap on Notifications, find Prioritize Notifications, tap on that, and make sure to toggle the switch to green. Now you're in control. You can customize which apps get priority. You can scroll through the list and turn off priority for any apps you don't want popping up first, like games, shopping apps, or social media platforms. Here's how it helps in everyday life. You're waiting for lab results. Those alerts come first. You're using maps, navigation alerts appear at the top. You're coordinating plans, messages, or calls from family. They stay visible. You may have used other notification features like Scheduled Summary, which bundles low priority alerts to show later. So if I tap on the back button in the upper left corner, come back to the main notification screen, you'll see right here, Scheduled Summary. If I tap on that and I turn on Scheduled Summary, I can choose when to schedule these low priority alerts so that I'm not inundated with all kinds of notifications, or maybe you've used the summarize notification, and these basically just condense updates, but priority notifications are live and always right at the top of your notification center. If your iPhone doesn't support this feature, don't worry. There are some great tools built into iOS that can help you stay organized and in control. The first one we'll look at is focus modes. So if I go ahead and I open the Settings app and I locate Focus, here I can choose which people and apps can reach me during certain times of the day, whether I'm relaxing or sleeping. So if I come into this area, I can create a focus if I want to, or I can choose one of the focuses that are available and then tweak it for what I want. So if I choose personal, I can then choose which people are allowed for me to receive a call or receive a message, or I can silence notifications from certain people. So you can choose who and what can notify you. So I can also go to apps and do the same thing. I can silence notifications for these apps, or I can choose to allow notifications. So this is perfect for when you want a quiet morning, or you're winding down in the evening, or maybe you're just going to sleep. The second option that you can use if your iPhone doesn't support priority notifications is scheduled notification summary. So again, we're inside of the settings app. I'll tap on notification. Here, I'll tap on scheduled summary and toggle that switch on. And now you can group less important alerts and have them delivered at scheduled time so that your lock screen stays uncluttered. So here I can say I want the first summary at 8 a.m. and then a second summary at 6 a.m. And then I can choose which of these apps I want to receive summary notifications from. The third option is that you can customize app notifications. You can adjust alerts one app at a time to reduce clutter. So again, I'm inside of the settings app. I'm going to tap on notification. I'm going to scroll down and you'll see all of your apps listed here. I can tap on an app and then I can choose to allow notifications from this app, and then I can add it to the scheduled summary if I want. I can allow it to come into the notifications center. I can have it announce notifications. So basically, you can choose the alert style, the sounds, or turn them off completely. It's a great way to silence the noise while keeping the essential things front and center. If you use the Mail app, you can mark certain people as VIPs so that their messages always alert you. So if I come into the app library and I search for Mail, and let's open Mail, and I'm going to go to all inboxes, and I'm just going to scroll down. And if I decide I want Joseph Michael to be on my VIP list so that I receive his messages right away, I'm notified about them. If I tap on his name, I get a chance to add him to my VIP. So I can tap Add to VIP, and now anytime I receive a message from him, it's going to show up in my notification center, and I'll be alerted immediately to that message. The last option I have for those of you who can't use the priority notifications feature is use the ring silent switch on your iPhone. You can quickly silence all non-critical alerts using the switch on the side of your iPhone. Alarms and emergency alerts will still come through. Priority notifications are a great way to take control of your alerts. But even if you don't have the latest iPhone, there are still powerful settings you can use to stay focused and feel more in control. If you find this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more iPhone tips. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.
So there we go. Now we know how to stay in touch. And don't forget our medication, like me. But any comments or questions?
I like how she says turn green when you turn on a switch in settings, as opposed to just say turn on. Of course, if you've customized those colors, it won't be green.
Well, it also only applies to certain phones. It doesn't apply to mine. So
No, it's any slider that is an on or off setting. Instead of on, she says when it looks green, which is a better clue to people that you've turned something on.
Yeah.
I liked how she had Okay, this is with AI, and this is with, if you don't have a phone with AI, you can do this way. I like the way she did that.
Very good.
I mean, I'm sure there's a group of us that don't have AI, so
Yeah, the same here. Mine doesn't have enough memory, and I don't think I don't know. AI is kind of sort of, sneaky or suspicious for some people.
yeah, my friend
But
just got the new phone, 16. Shut up, with AI, and she thought, well, it's just for editing photos and like that. And the guy goes, no, look at this. Point your camera at your refrigerator and say, hey, what can I make with all this? And it'll pull up a recipe for you, which I thought was kind of interesting.
well,
So I mean, it's got other points, but yeah.
Moving
okay,
on.
well, moving on. We have regarding calendars and stuff. This is how to clean up by Gary. How to clean up your Mac calendar. I haven't. We might talk about it afterwards, but let's see what he's got to say. I have calendars that I don't want there, and I thought I got rid of it, and it came back. And anyway,
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let's look at cleaning up your Mac calendar. One place we pick up a lot of clutter on our computers is in our calendar. If you look in the Mac Calendar app, you may find it cluttered with lots of different events that make it hard to see what's coming up today or later this week. So let's clean it up. So you can see here a pretty cluttered calendar. And one reason we might get something like this is because it's so easy to subscribe to calendars online, things that may look useful, but actually fill your calendar up with stuff. In this case, I've got a baseball schedule here as a calendar. You can see it here in the left sidebar. If you don't see this left sidebar, go to View and then Show Calendar List. You can see it here for me as Hide Calendar List since I have it visible. And I can see all of the calendars that are visible. In this case, I've got this schedule here. And if I simply hide it, you can see it clears things up quite a bit because there's so many events in this calendar. I don't have to delete it if I don't want to. I can simply hide it and then show it when I do want to see those events and hide it again. But if I do want to get rid of this calendar, I can control click it, right click or two-finger click on a trackpad, and then select unsubscribe here, and it will remove the calendar. Now, in addition to that, you're going to find a lot of things here that aren't in your calendars, but are in this section here under Other. For instance, you'll see one here for scheduled reminders. So events that are in reminders, not in the calendar app, will show up here as long as you have this turned on. Notice a few of them here in blue. If I turn it off like that, then I'm not getting rid of those events. They're still there in the reminders app, and they're still here if I choose to see them, but it will clear things out. So if you find you've got tons of things here that are from reminders, not calendar events, you may want to at least turn it off when trying to view the rest of your events. And there are also other items here. Birthdays. Look at the birthdays from your contacts app and put them here. You can see a couple here, and if you've got a lot of contacts, you may find your calendar is crowded with these. You can simply hide these like that and bring them up whenever you want. You also find other calendars, like for instance, a holidays calendar for the country that you're in. You could choose to have that on or turn it off as you like. Another area is Siri suggestions. This is when Siri notices events that are in email messages, and it will show them here in the calendar. If you find you have a lot of those, you can turn that off so it doesn't clutter the calendar there. Also note that if you want to clear some of these out so you don't even see them at all, you can go to Calendar and then Settings. And then under General, look for Show Birthdays Calendar and Show Holidays Calendar. So you can have those so they don't even appear here. And note that if you're not going to see the holidays calendar, you can always create your own. Just go to File and then New Calendar. and then create a new calendar and add the holidays that you want. You can also go to File, New Holiday Calendar, and then add a holiday calendar for a different region. If you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 2,000 others that support MacMost at Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. So you notice here on the left, I just have this one section with my calendars under iCloud, but you may notice more accounts here. And some of those accounts may not be accounts where you normally use the calendar, but they may have things in it like holidays and such. So you want to go to Calendar and then Settings, then go to Accounts. So notice I went to Settings Accounts, not Calendar Accounts. Now you want to look through your different accounts here. And of course, for your main account like iCloud, you want to make sure it's enabled for calendars. But for other accounts, you want to make sure they're not enabled. For instance, this account may have a ton of different holidays that show up by default. And if I enable it, I'll see those events in this calendar. So I'll see a lot of the same holidays there twice. Now, what about the multiple calendars that you actually create? You can see here, I've created one for work, personal, and family. You can create more of these and then switch them on or off. So for instance, I can switch off all my work events to just focus on my personal and family ones, or the other way around by switching these off. So it's handy to break things up into multiple calendars. When you create an event, make sure you've got the right calendar selected when you create the new event. But you could easily switch which calendar the event is in, either while creating it or after you've created an event. You can still go back and switch which calendar it's in. It's really handy to have these, and you may want to have even more of them if it helps you declutter. For instance, you may want to have an important work calendar and a not so important work calendar. Same thing for personal stuff. So then you can have normally just the important events shown and the not so important events hidden unless you want to see them. A lot of people will actually create multiple calendars because they like the color coding, because for each of these calendars here, you can choose one of these colors or even a custom color. But a lot of times that leads to a large number of calendars where you have events that should be grouped together actually in different calendars. I recommend just having a few calendars that make sense and not having excess ones just because you like the colors. Now, in addition to the accounts and calendars view here on the left, you also have an inbox right here. In this case, you've got events that you're invited to, maybe some other things here as well. So every once in a while, you want to make sure you go here if you see a number there and accept or decline any of these events here. So let's say I'll accept this one and I'll decline this one. So now that's cleared out. That will also keep the badge number over your calendar app icon in the dock clear. Now, changing all these settings to declutter is fine, but what it may really come down to is you just have too many events in your calendar. In that case, you may want to think about adding some of them to the Reminders app instead. So with the Reminders app, you can treat some of the reminders as events, add a date and time if you want to them for when those items are due or when that event is going to happen. And by having certain things in the calendar, like maybe a long list of due dates for a project or class, it will declutter your calendar since you don't have all those events in here. And then you could always see them in the calendar by turning on the scheduled reminders calendar. Now, there are also some options you've got that aren't in settings, but are under view. One of them here is to show completed reminders. So you can actually have your reminders visible in the calendar and have them disappear as you complete them, as long as you turn this off. You also see all the day events can be turned off, and declined events, things you've been invited to and you declined, that can actually be turned off as well. Remember, I had previously declined that event. So if I turn this on, I can actually see it here in the calendar, which could be handy, but certainly could lead to a lot of clutter if you decline a lot of events. Another thing to consider is that it may be impossible for you to declutter the monthly calendar. It may always look a bit busy, but if you switch to one of these other views, like week view, then things look a lot cleaner. You see all day events here at the top like this, and events in individual boxes according to time. And it makes for a very clean looking calendar, even if your monthly view is very crowded. Note that if you have a lot of events that take place early in the morning or later into the evening, you may want to go to calendar settings. And then you could set the number of hours shown to 24 instead. And that way you see from 12 a.m. to 12 a.m. You're not missing any of the events because they're too early or too late. Now, one way people may suggest to keep the clutter down here is to delete events once they've already happened. But I don't like that idea. I want to keep events archived. And you may want to do exactly that by actually creating a new calendar, call it archive, like that, and then have it not shown. And then once an event is over, you can switch it very easily to the archive calendar. You may just want to have one archive calendar for everything, or you may want to have a work archive and a personal archive. Now, here's a few additional tips. One reason you may think your calendar looks cluttered when it's really not is because you have the window too small. So for instance, if I were to make this window pretty small here, you can see it's got a lot of these +1 mores here, things like that. A lot of people just have the calendar like this and don't realize that if they expand the calendar to get more space, there's a lot more space for all the different events to appear. I have my screen resolution set pretty small, but you can make this huge usually and then have tons of white space and make it easy to see what days you have events. A view here that's not usually very useful is the year view. It just shows you the year like this, and then you could jump into a specific month. I'll just double click on August like that. But there's a setting where you could have the year view show events. Now, of course, you can't see events there, but it'll put colors up here so you kind of see when there are events and when you have large areas that are empty. And there's one more setting I want to point out that helps when you're trying to declutter because you have a lot of events. Turn on open events in separate windows. If you have it off, when you try to edit an event or look at the details, it appears with this little pop-up window here. But if I want to look at another one, that first one goes away. I can only look at one at a time. However, with this setting turned on, then you get a separate window that appears like that. That means you can open up multiple windows. So you could have multiple events open at the same time if you need to copy information from one to the other or compare information. So there's some tips for cleaning up your calendar. Hope some of them work for you. Thanks for watching.
There. So any comments or any problems that people are having?
Ton of information.
Go, Jan, go ahead.
I'd rather be able to put more. I usually use a month view, and you can only squeeze in 6 items, and that it wastes space at the top where there could be other items. And I don't know why Apple does that.
I
A
just
bigger screen, 27-inch monitor.
They don't have those in MacBook Pros.
It's hard to squeeze them in on a smaller screen.
But there is room. There's room for more on the screen. They just leave it empty space. You can only use so much of the square.
I see people's calendars a lot of times that they're a big mess. What people do is when they have multiple accounts, you have a Yahoo account, a Google account. When you add it, if you don't pay attention, it always has mail, contacts, and calendars. And then you start making events and you don't pay attention where they're going. They're going to Google, they're going to Yahoo, they're going to iCloud. You don't want to do that unless you have a very specific reason to do that. And you should turn those off and consolidate your calendars. And by default, when you make Mac calendars would make a home and a work calendar, and your phone would make one called calendar. And then when you sync, you have 3 defaults, even though you really only need one, unless you really need work. So you got to work on your calendar and get it how you like it, what makes sense to you.
I don't think Apple should have made different accounts for all, notes and calendars and contacts.
Well, notes, a lot of them that you can do notes too. 4 things: notes, calendars, contacts, and mail in Comcast and Yahoo and Gmail. So you could end up with a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah. So why would we want that? I don't get it.
Because you can. Maybe you want to use Google calendars and not Apple calendars, so you can do that. You get to choose. It's your choice. They have the capacity to do that.
One thing he
Go.
didn't really cover very much of was subscribing to calendars.
Yeah, what did that mean? Instead of deleting, is unsubscribe. I didn't get that.
There's one calendar I subscribe to, and I was wondering, is it being kept up to date? And that is the DVMUG calendar.
Absolutely. I keep it up
Yep.
Okay.
all the
And
time. And I clear it out. After this meeting, I will delete it, and then you won't get all past DVMUG calendars clogging up to your subscription. Once the event's over, I delete it out of the calendar.
okay, and that calendar comes from a Google account.
It's a Google Calendar.
Yes. The
And
other
then,
that I have a subscription to is a
yeah,
Jewish.
so if people don't know, you do that on the MailChimp on Sunday. I think right at the top, it's subscribe to calendar, and then it shows up and gets updated, whenever there's something new, which basically is just a reoccurring. It has the Zoom meeting on there, it has the clinic on there, it has iOS boot camp, the picnic's on there. I put the picnic on there, and it doesn't change that much.
Yeah. There are other useful calendars on there.
Absolutely.
Is the Jewish date calendar, but there's a lot of interesting calendars to subscribe to.
If you're a sports fan, all the sports teams have calendars, and they update them when there's a time change or a game change, so you can get the whole season in there. And a lot of times they'll tell you what channel it's on, to watch. And the Warriors, I have the Warriors, I have the 49ers, I don't have the Giants. But my brother does. All the sports teams, if you follow them, it's very handy to have the calendar, and you can turn it off. So when you have a sports calendar, just baseball, just every other, there are too many calendars. Click the box and it hides it. You want to see it. The nice thing is if you have it on and you want to put, what I do is for the next week's games, when the Warriors are on, drag it out of the subscribe calendar up into your main calendar, and it copies it so you can see next week's games. Turn off the main sports calendar, and every week you can just drag them up there and keep that week. You don't have to clutter your whole year with the stuff. You can drag between calendars that makes copies.
We don't watch the Warriors games.
The other thing I wanted to know is how far back, if I'm going to use it for archival purposes in research, how far back can dates be in the calendar?
I think you can go back as far as you want, as far as I know.
Got stuff in my
I used
calendar
to,
from years and years ago.
I have a habit when the event's over, I just delete it. I don't have any, unless there's some reason I need to keep it. One thing I do is if you have repeating events that happen every week, like the DVMUG, I have a separate, something that repeats every week. You can put it in and say every week at 3:30, at 3 o'clock, DVMUG Zoom meeting. You can make that repeat every week, and it would put it in there forever, for years. What I do is I make it for that week, and then when that meeting's over that week, I drag it down 1 week. So next week I see what it is. I just keep dragging it down. So there's only one event the upcoming next week, so it doesn't clutter my calendar.
I keep everything just for an alibi if I need one. Where were you? Let me look it up. There it is.
Or whatever works for you, but
Yeah.
it's work to keep your calendar, straight. But it's very useful. I wouldn't know what to do if I didn't have the calendar. I wouldn't know we couldn't keep track of anything.
And does everybody know that on your phone, when you look at it on your calendar, if you turn it sideways, you get to see like a week at a time?
Yeah.
I also use ItzyCal, which is a menu bar that you can pull down that'll give you your calendar for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, the phone screen is pretty hard to see. I just use the Today View, which is a list, because you can see the stuff what's coming up this week.
Like I said, that's the reason I turn my phone sideways so I can see it.
Yeah, I usually use the calendar mostly on the computer. every day I go in there and, when something's happening and it's done and I tick it off, it's like a to-do list, or move it forward a week, or turn on a calendar to see what's come on and turn it off. And you can share calendars too. She didn't mention that. You can share a calendar with other people, with family members, or so you can both add stuff and delete stuff.
So, John, you don't want to be able to look back and see where you were on a certain date? What?
No.
Okay, that's
Don't need to
I
do
would say
that.
not usual.
That's a choice.
Past is the past.
It's too much stuff. I look at a calendar for the month. I don't want it cluttered with all the old stuff. I want to see what's coming up.
So how is the calendar going backwards cluttering up your forward view?
Thank you, Kenji.
Well, because everything on my calendar is something to do. I leave some things that undone. I'll leave them like a to-do, like that didn't happen. I kind of like put to-do items in there, and then I still need to do them or something. Keep few things I'll keep around.
Sometimes I'm looking for, why did I get a certain charge on a certain date on a credit card? And I can look back and see where I was and figure out what that was for.
Yep, or I need to realize I drove my sister around. What date was that? And I look back up, oh, that was last Tuesday.
It's up to you. You're in charge of your calendar. Anything that's on there is your responsibility.
Yeah, the only thing I remember is I can't remember, so I just...
There's no right way to do it. It's whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Well, there's the John way and there's the right way.
Everybody has a different way.
So John is also the guy that has nothing in his inbox.
That's not true.
Once he's read
That's
a piece of mail, it's gone.
It's stuff in my inbox is something I still need to deal with. Once I've dealt with it, I either delete it or move it into a folder.
Yeah, I got 5 digits worth of unread messages in my emails.
Well, I have a client who had 400,000 emails in their Gmail going back 10 years. Mailing lists. I mean, it's just complete clutter. How you ever find anything or why you need that, I got it cut down to 40,000. Took me a long time to work on it to get it down to the 40. But I mean, you subscribe to mailing list, you get the same thing every day or every week, and it goes back for years. Unless there's some reason you need to keep 4-year-old mailing lists that are obsolete is beyond me. Just clutter to me. But it's up to you. You're in charge.
Well,
move forward, huh? Any other thing?
Yeah, you've got to just to clean up your life a little more. Here's in iOS 18 reminders in calendar. Your reminders can be directly attached to the calendar, and that'll remind you of what you need to do. So here's Ellen explaining how to do that.
Hi everyone, it's Ellen from Ellen's Tips for iOS, and today I have a fantastic feature to share with you. Have you ever set a reminder to do something, but it didn't show up in your calendar? Or maybe you use the calendar app for events and appointments, but forget to check the reminders app. Well, with iOS 18, Apple finally fixed that. You can now see your reminders right inside your calendar app. Let me show you how it works and why it's such a helpful update, especially for keeping track of everything in one place. Let's get started. So what's changed? For years, reminders and calendar were two separate apps. Your appointments were in one place and your to-do list was in another. But now with iOS 18, that's changed. If you set a reminder with a due date and a time, such as take medicine at 9 a.m., that reminder will now appear in your calendar app automatically. No extra steps, no settings to turn on. It's enabled by default. And yes, it works on iPhones, iPads and Macs as long as you're able to update to iOS 18. Let's walk through how this looks and feels. First of all, just to check to see if you're updated to iOS 18, you'll go ahead and open the Settings app. You'll tap on General. You'll tap on Software Update, and you should see whether or not you've been updated to iOS 18. Once you've updated to iOS 18, let's go ahead and open the Reminders app. And we're going to create a new task. So I'm going to tap on the plus sign in the lower left corner to create a new reminder. I'm going to call this pickleball. And then I need to give it a date and a time. So to do that, you want to tap on Details. I'll go ahead and toggle on Date, and then I'll choose the date that I want. And then I'll go ahead, toggle on Time, and then I'll choose a time. And I'm just going to go ahead and leave this at 2 p.m. Now, once I've done that, if I swipe out of the Reminders app and I go ahead and I open up the Calendar app, you should see, if I come to the 18th, because that's the date I set it for, a reminder for pickleball at 2 p.m. It even shows the color of the list your reminder belongs to, just like it does in the Reminders app. So to show you that, you'll see that the list is orange. If I swipe out and come back into the Reminders app and I choose Reminders, you'll see that the little icon to the left of Reminders is also orange. And in the Calendar app, let's come back to it, you'll see that there is a little checkbox icon so you can check it off right from your calendar. You can see these reminders in the day view. So if I tap on Today, it brings me to the date of today. If I tap on it again, it gives me a listing of all of my events and any of my reminders that are in there. To get back to the calendar view, you just tap on it up in the upper left-hand corner and it'll bring you back to the calendar view. Want to remove a reminder to a new time? You can just drag it on your calendar. Let me show you how that works. So right now, we are in list view. So if I tap here, you'll see list view is checked off. We want to go to details or it won't work. So I'm going to tap on details and then I'm going to choose the day of the reminder, which is the 18th. I'll tap on that and you'll see the reminder there. So if I grab that, I can drag it to a new day and time. I can move it to a different time on the same day and drop it. And once I make the change, it will instantly be reflected in the Reminders app too. So if I swipe out of here and I open the Reminders app and I tap on Reminders, I should see pickleball changed from 2 p.m. tomorrow to 4 p.m. tomorrow. So both apps stay in sync all the time. And yes, you can even create a reminder inside of the Calendar app. So swipe out of Reminders. If I come into the Calendar app and I tap on the plus button in the upper right corner, now I have to choose the Reminders tab on the right side. So if I tap that, you'll see it comes into an area that looks very similar to the Reminders app. I can add a title, and I'm just going to put a 2 here, and then I can tap in and put where it says date, I can add a date, and I can tap into time and I can add a time. And once I do that, I have the option here also. I can put it on a different list if I want to, whatever the lists are that I have in reminders. I'm going to leave it on the main reminders list. And then once I tap add, you'll see that on the 20th of August, you see a new reminder for Pickleball 2 that I was able to create inside of the calendar app. Now, this isn't quite as smooth as using the Reminders app directly, but it works. Now let's talk about why this matters, especially for seniors like us. It reduces confusion. There's no more switching between apps and wondering, did I write that down somewhere? Everything appears in one place. Your reminders now live right next to your appointments, making your day easier to plan. It's easy to mark tasks as done. Just tap the checkbox in your calendar. This is perfect for medication reminders, grocery runs, doctor's appointments, birthdays, or check-ins with family. All of these things are important and they matter. Here are some bonus tips and alternatives. You can use the Apple Lady to set a reminder hands-free. Just say, hey, Apple Lady, remind me to call my son at 4 p.m. That reminder will now show up in your calendar too because you added a date and a time. You can also add widgets to your home screen. So if I push and hold on the home screen and I tap, you'll see the apps start to jiggle. And if I tap on Edit in the upper left corner, I can choose Add a Widget. Once I've added that widget, let me go to Calendar. I can choose a widget. You can swipe through and see what widget you want to add. I'm going to choose this one, tap on Add Widget, and it adds this now to your home screen. You can also add a Reminders widget, and now you can see everything at a glance. There are also third-party apps that you can use. But just remember that third-party apps sometimes have sync issues, while Apple's built-in features tend to be more stable and private. So there you have it. With iOS 18 and macOS Sequoia, Apple finally brought calendar and reminders together, and it makes a big difference. No more app juggling, fewer missed tasks, and a whole lot more peace of mind. Give it a try and let me know what you think in the comments section. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.
So there you go. She reminds me of an old person like me.
Hey,
I need reminders.
I think one of the best things they did at 18 was to merge those two. And I'll give her credit.
One correction. She said you need a date and time. You just need a date to have it show up in the calendar.
Correct.
Oh,
But
okay.
I still think she did a great job of fleshing this out a bit. Like I said, when she started, I thought, oh God, this is old news, but she did a good job.
Well, you know, I envy her for her hair to start with. And she's getting better and better. I mean, this was like, was she talking about me? And how did she find, what kind of AI did she use to find out?
I think it's great for, like, especially for meds. I think it's great.
Yeah, but do we have to go watch her play pickleball?
Well, I think so.
The health ad already allows for medication requirement reminders.
Yes.
Well, yeah, but for me, it's always just been easier in reminders.
Mine pops up, my 7:30 in the morning pills and my 7 o'clock at night pills always pops up on all devices. Take it now. And then I have to say they have been taken.
Is that from the health app?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where is it on your health thing? I'm scrolling through real quick.
Under medications. Go to browse and choose medications. And if you enter the medications, you put a time with each medication, and then you will get reminders.
Okay.
Works beautifully.
Question?
Go, Jen.
Oh, I'm looking at my calendars and I have way too many because I have too many email addresses. But two of the email addresses have the triangle with the exclamation point in, but there's no explanation about
Click
why
on it.
I have.
Did you click on the triangle?
I'll tell you
Yeah,
why. It should tell you what's going on. There's something wrong with it. It's not syncing.
Not syncing with offline.
Not syncing if it's a subscribed calendar. Sometimes calendars you subscribe to go away and they don't work anymore. They just, for some reason.
maybe I turned them off too.
Well, the explanation point when you click on it should give you a pop-up clue about why
Yeah.
it's not syncing.
It doesn't, it doesn't tell me anything.
Well, check to see for the calendar subscription where it's
Yeah.
coming from.
Where it's
Maybe
coming from, that service
yeah.
could be out of business. Some of these calendar things you subscribe to go away. They're not perpetual. Somebody has to keep them going, and sometimes they just are defunct. And if that's the case and they aren't working, you got to delete it and find another one that does. The sports teams do that sometimes. Their calendar subscribe to, and then the next year they change and they don't work anymore, and you got to go find another one.
Yeah, I had my Yahoo calendar function quit on me a few years ago with that.
Well,
So I
you
just
know, talking about Yahoo Calendar, that's my thing. I don't know how. I know I turned it off because I've got stuff on there that's duplicating stuff. And I've looked lately and I've got duplicates. Again, DVMUG meetings, I've got it on both calendars. I have no idea how it got there.
You can, if you're worried about having stuff in multiple calendars like that, you can merge them. When you delete a calendar, it should ask you and say, do you want to merge it and what calendar do you want to merge it into?
Oh,
So your
Oh,
subscription,
really?
yeah. So yeah, you can do that. You can save
boy, I
your
was hoping
stuff
for
out
that
of,
answer.
yeah.
I was like, I didn't do this. Did I get up in the middle of the night and do this or what? Am I sleepwalking now?
So I have a medication. So is it possible to list medications in the health app, but not have them bug you with a reminder?
Yeah.
I can't
Yes,
figure out
I
how
have
to turn it
medications
off.
listed. I
Yeah.
have medications listed in the health app. I don't set a time or date on them, and they don't bug me.
But it still keeps it in the app.
Yeah.
Yep, it keeps it in the health app.
Keeps it under your little own medical history thing. So theoretically, it's like I go to the doctor, what meds are you taking? I said, here's the thing. I have no idea. I didn't memorize them. I just wrote them down and
You can keep those in health also and print it out every time you go to the doctor.
yeah. Well, I keep it in health. I just keep it under that little icon at the very top where it says, was it medical ID?
So I don't see how to delete the schedule without deleting the medication.
Well,
At the very bottom of the list of medications, way down is options. And that's where just you can shut off the reminders.
I just wonder if the young kids have the same discussion about meds.
They don't take so many meds.
well,
Thank you for I already have it turned off, but I sometimes still get reminded.
Kenji, if you open up the health app, at the very top on the right-hand side, there's a little icon that you put on there or something. If you click on that and you go to medical ID and scroll down, it'll say medications. You can list them. You won't ask for a time to take them or anything.
Okay.
or as needed.
Well, yeah, but it just lists them. And If nothing else, Godzilla can show you how to do
Yeah, but at quite a cost.
it.
So Peter, Mr. Peter, how are you?
Let's say, okay, are we done with the meeting? We should start a new recording.
Oh yeah, right, we
Is
are.
that true? We're done? We're done with
We're done.
comments about the calendar? Okay, we shall end this recording. People watching on YouTube, DVMUG members, you know the drill. You can find a link on the BBS to the Q&A recording, which we will now start.